Hey, what's up, guys? For the last few years on this channel, I like to do blast updates, especially when I finish a cycle, because that's the time where I bring like a conclusion on how it worked. And in the past, my go-to cycle was probably 300-400 Masteron, 300-400 testosterone, obviously as a base, and something like NPP anywhere from 2 to 400. A lot of times I like to titrate up throughout the cycle, the doses, and sometimes I interchange Anavar, and I've also done Primobolan. Okay, so that's my history. This time it's a bit different, just based up because it's all I had available, and I have a bit of a different timeline than your average guy. So I'll get into that first. I've talked about this already in other videos, which is I'm prescribed testosterone, okay, and the clinic I go through is pretty kind of strict, okay, like it's through a doctor, pharmacist, etc., and they don't really take too kindly to it being abused for like actual steroid use. Like, for example, when my testosterone was a bit high on my one time, because I have to take blood work every 3 months, they were concerned about that, and when so they monitor my blood work very closely, and then based on that change the prescription, etc. So, and I get prescribed like proper testosterone that's working really well. So I don't want that to change. I don't want to jeopardize that, right? So I have to do the blood work every 3 months, which means if I do a cycle or a proper blast, raising doses up or doing other hormones, I can only do it for the first 2 months with shorter ester. Obviously, I don't want to do something that's long ester that's going to surpass the 3-month mark. So then at the end of the 2 months, I bring it back to TRT, and that's where I'm at now. I'm essentially going back to TRT because a month from now, I have to do blood work again. I want to make sure my blood work's clean, okay? So that's worked in the past. So essentially, that's unique in that aspect. The one other thing I should mention is I started this cycle, kick-started it anyway, with Nandrolone. I had about a half a vial of Nandrolone left from a previous cycle from about a year ago. So I introduced that, and then as soon as I ran out of that, I couldn't run anymore. So I just did a test-only cycle at 400 milligrams a week, okay? So I'm going to say some interesting things, so I hope you stick around, because there's some things that I've noted from this test-only cycle that I haven't really heard many people talk about, but also, as well, there's some basic characteristics of test only that I'm going to talk about. Maybe I should just get that out of the way first of all, okay? Which is, I believe eventually my estrogen is in a bit of excess, okay? For a few reasons. Now, I haven't done blood work since I've done blood work last time when, I finished a TRT dose, so I don't know this for sure, and this is kind of the danger, because technically you should take blood work mid-cycle, but I don't want to do that because it will jeopardize again my TRT. But the thing is, it worked out really well up until just about maybe 2-3 weeks ago, okay, where I did notice higher blood pressure, a little bit maybe sleep issues. I don't know if that's associated with high estradiol, but no gynecomastia, obviously. But the main thing is, and I'll just be straight with you because this is important, is maybe a bit of a sexual dysfunction, which is not total impotence, but it's like it just doesn't work properly. It's just like eventually you kind of gets limp dick a bit and you don't come. And you know what I mean? Like, it starts off okay, but it just doesn't work long term as it should, essentially, which is a symptom of too much estrogen. Sexual dysfunction could be a symptom of too little estrogen or too much. In this case, I think it's a bit too much. I think I'm on the higher end of the estrogen that I should be, okay? Which is good to know, because I probably won't push it a test-only cycle this high again. But I should mention, that's the side effects, okay? And a little bit higher blood pressure, because I monitor that as well. Sometimes I go and monitor my blood pressure, and it's a bit hypertensive. Not too much, but it's not great. It's not one you want to be for prolonged periods of time at this level of hypertension. I'll put it that way. So anyway, that's fine. But my gym performance has been great. Okay. my muscles filled out and my strength has been good. Now, it hasn't been like ideal. It hasn't been like to the extent where I've done previous cycles for 3, 4, almost 5 months sometimes. And at the end of that cycle where I'm like totally fucking jacked, I'd be like pushing as much weight as, I'm just stacking weight on. I can push whatever I want type shit. Because I've done that in the past. I probably won't do that again to the same extent I've done, because I've experimented with that, but I'm probably not going to do the same extent. I kind of tone things down a bit. But regardless, 400 tests will definitely do that. It'll definitely, you'll definitely put on strength and size if your training's on point and your food's on point, which for me is both pretty good. Maybe a bit of I won't say roid rage, but maybe it's just because of the estrogen again, which is I get a bit emotional too much. Maybe I'm like a woman who's on the inner fertile window, so much estrogen. I'm not even joking about that, by the way. That's probably, like, I've got heightened estrogen. It's probably out of rage, because I have nothing that's keeping that in check. Not even Masteron, which I normally would do, which, by the way, I did order, but I never received it. So yeah, 2-month cycle, 400 testosterone, kickstarted with Nandrolone, which worked out really well, because Nandrolone, within a week or two, you're on something. You totally change your gym performance, and your body changes when you start running Nandrolone, even just at a small amount on top of a solid test base. Okay. The only other thing I could potentially do to extend this cycle towards when I actually have to get blood work done is something like Anavar, or something that has a very short half-life. So if I cut that out within 2 weeks of getting my blood work done, it would clear the system, because like some things like Anavar only have a half-life of like 2 days, right? But just because it has a half-life doesn't mean it's totally gone from your system in 2 days. But and some things affect testosterone levels more than others. For example, in the past when I ran Nandrolone on top of a TRT, my testosterone was through the roof, okay? Because it's pretty much, it's a NOR19 testosterone. But that's a whole nother topic. This cycle is not one I even would recommend to anybody. Like, that's the weird thing. I run it. It's not the worst one, but it's not the best. Like, I would not recommend this. I would recommend, if you are doing a cycle, you're not going to do it for 2 months, unless you have a time constraint, like I do. You run something test-based, but then you're going to use a secondary compound to then bump things up, which I did technically do at the start, but I didn't do, right? And then the last thing is get your blood work done mid-cycle. Now, that being said, everything did go fine. I would give it like a solid 7 out of 10, you know what I mean? It wasn't great, it wasn't bad. I still got something out of it. I trained at the boxing gym yesterday. I was hitting the bag really hard, I still got power, I still got reps in, so it's not totally bad, you know what I mean? It is a TRT kind of plus dose. I consider it a proper cycle. A lot of people wouldn't even consider that a blast, but I would, because you're definitely, my testosterone is in super physiological levels. But at the same time, I think I like to dial things back at the same time. I almost look forward to dialing things back, my doses, because that's the time I actually feel a lot better, especially when I'm a few months in, like I am right now, even just 2 months, but, I've done like cycles that are like 4 months, and by that time especially, I'm just like, oh, like, you're just bogged down by the compounds you've been doing for so long. It's such a relief when you come back to a TRT sometimes, really. You know what I mean? It is. And obviously, you're going to lose a little bit of strength and size for temporarily, but you'll get that back if you run a cycle again in the future. Like, you know what I mean? It's a few steps forward, 1 step back, and you're still stronger than you were being before. But especially with me, I need to do it obviously because I need to get blood work done. I guess mid-September it will be, and I want to make sure that is good because, yeah, again, this doctor, she really tests me, man. She want to make sure that I'm not doing other shit because it potentially would ruin their business, right? I think that's what they got to get a business model going down, and they don't want to ruin it from guys who are like me who are potentially exploiting it, right? But at the same time, they probably as well wouldn't really care. But I would just want to take that chance. What else should I say about that? Yeah, a little bit of hypertension though. Like, that's that's expected with when you run tests too high. That's why generally I don't like to run a big test base. Like 400 is kind of pushing it at my upper limit of testosterone. But at the same time, it's good to test that test base and test your limits sometimes. And yeah, I know that like it's just like I know that this is too high. I'd much rather run just like 350. Maybe at towards the end of the cycle, kind of bump things up, but not for the whole cycle. Run something this much for the testosterone alone. Masteron, other compounds, yeah, because it doesn't convert to estrogen, but like as much anyway. Some of them are like androgenic compounds, but like this testosterone, yeah, it is pretty androgenic because it is 100 anabolic androgenic. So compared to other compounds, which like the androlone, which are like 110, 120 anabolic and like 30 or 40 androgenic, right? So that's why I like to create a good stack. But I think this is towards the end of the video, which I want to finish on a good note, which is testosterone is testosterone. Test-only cycles do work. It's just not ideal, but it works. And a lot of guys who want to bump things up from a TRT, yeah, you can bump things up to a 250 to 350 test-only cycle, and you'll still make solid gains. So I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.